Polycystic ovary syndrome, or PCOS, is a hormonal disorder that affects 1 in 10 women of childbearing age. It can cause a range of health issues, including weight gain, acne, infertility, and metabolic issues. It often goes undiagnosed or misunderstood. For Belle Benson, understanding and managing PCOS has shaped not only her life, but her future goals.
When I first found out I had PCOS, I was 14 years old. We already knew that my mom and older sister had PCOS, so they had a good feeling I would too, but that was kind of the confirmation. When the doctor told me that, I was a little bit worried initially. Even though I knew that my mom had PCOS and obviously she had us, the first thing I kept thinking about was how people say it's harder to have kids, and that was always the first thing I thought of because every little girl dreams of having kids.
Through high school, Belle's symptoms were manageable, but when she left for college, things started to change.
When I got to college, I started to have more problems. Women who have PCOS are a lot more susceptible to cortisol changes, and once I was dealing with the stress of college and balancing classes by myself and not having my mom helping me out with things, I started to gain a little bit more weight.
Searching for answers, Belle began exploring PCOS communities online. That's where she learned that not all fitness and nutrition advice worked the same for everyone with PCOS.
Meanwhile, my friends were carb loading like every freshman does in college, and they weren't changing. And that was probably one of the biggest struggles for me to get over mentally, was that I had to live a little bit differently. Because when you're living with your friends and you're living with other people your age, you really start to understand the difference between your lifestyle and other people's lifestyle. And it's so hard to not compare yourself, and it's so hard to not get discouraged. I think that that's probably the hardest part, is just understanding that everyone's different, everyone's body works different, and what's great for one person isn't going to be as great for you. Sometimes the reason why I was gaining weight wasn't because of what I was eating at all. It was because of stress I put on my body. And one of the things that really works for me is just remembering the difference in how I feel, because I know I feel so much better about myself when I'm eating foods that are good for me, and when I'm working out, and when I'm staying consistent with everything.
Today, Belle dreams of becoming a gynecologist, someone who not only diagnoses PCOS, but actually helps patients navigate it.
I just graduated from Tennessee, and I'm hoping to go to med school in the next couple of years, and I really would like to become a gynecologist so that I can kind of not just diagnose people with something, actually help them through it. Social media is also just a really useful tool, so I would also love to start in the future starting a YouTube channel maybe, or a blog. I haven't figured out the details yet, but I know that I really want to help educate other people like a lot of creators on TikTok have done for me.
Belle has started posting on her TikTok to try to help spread awareness for others just like her. And her story is already making a difference. Lucy Reber, a college student who found Belle online, says hearing Belle's experience changed her life.
At first, when I got the diagnosis, I went into the doctor and they didn't give me any resources. Then I stumbled across Belle's video explaining what she went through with PCOS, and I just started crying because that was the first time I didn't feel alone throughout this process. So I then decided to DM Belle, and she gave me tips. She gave me low impact workouts. Honestly, if Belle hadn't shared her story, I don't know where I would have been now. When I was panicking and just having a lot of anxiety and stress over my diagnosis, she really dug me out of that hole.
For Belle, helping even one person feel less alone is what keeps moving her forward.
But I'd also like to explore the option of doing holistic health and opening a practice with that. Thankfully, I have time to figure it out, but I just know that I see myself in the future continuing on the medical track to try and help other people like me, and also more people than just can be able to see me through social media and everything.
Belle's journey shows that while living with PCOS isn't easy, it's still possible to thrive with the right mindset, support, and education.
Looking back, I would tell my younger self not to stress so much over what other people are doing, and just to focus on myself and focus on what I'm doing and what's good for me. and not stressing about things I can't control. Like I said, the very first thing that came to mind was, will I be able to have kids? Well, that's in a long time, and my mom had me, so it's possible.